So yesterday I gave my AI a task. It read the instructions I prepared for it, executed the 6 Python scripts in the sequence I wanted it to. It ran into some errors, but that's fine because it fixed its own errors and then corrected the instructions and the scripts to not run into the same problem again. And then finally delivered me the results. I didn't write a single prompt throughout that whole thing. Most people are trying to get better at writing prompts. I think that's a bit outdated. It's kind of a dead end at this point. What actually works is building out systems where AI reads instructions and then decides the tools that need to be called, and the tools themselves are reliable. Here's the exact architecture I use, and once you see it, you can't really unsee it. So for context, I run a small agency. I build AI native apps, lead magnets. And for the last few months now, for my own kind of side project, I've been developing this content production system. This system generates me scripts, captions, overlays, text post, all in one workspace. So the thing is, when I'm building out the system, I don't prompt my way through it. I make sure that the architecture is in place, that there's a system. I'm building out a system. And the key is that I'm building out a system that gets smarter every time I use it. But here's what took me months to figure out. I'm going to give you in a few minutes. AI by default is probabilistic, but business and usually tasks, they're determinist. And when both of these concepts mix, they often break. That's the main issue. That's the gap I'm trying to solve with this video. So here's a number that changed the way I think about AI, 90% accuracy. It sounds good on paper. If you give something a task with 90% success rate, looks good. What happens when you sequence multiple tasks one after another? That's 90% times 90%. That's 90% times 90% times 90%. All of a sudden, that's 56%. You're failing almost half of the time. And you see, I was doing this. I was giving long, detailed prompts and expecting it to deliver the results as I build on top of it. And it worked sometimes, let's say 6 out of 10 times. That's really not a system. That's just gambling, kind of. The fix, stop asking AI to do everything and push the reliable work onto code, which is deterministic. The AI only makes decisions. That one split took me from 60% success rate to 100 plus. The principle is simple. You separate what AI is good at from what AI is not good at. AI is great. So AI is great at making decisions, reading context, choosing approach, figuring out what to do next, giving the previous context, right? AI is terrible at reliable execution, hence because it's probabilistic, not deterministic. So API calls, file operations, conversions, data processing, anything that needs work the same way every time, not going to happen. It's just not built like that. So you split AI to work into 3 layers. Layer 1, directives, plain language instructions, what to do, what tools to use, in what order, and what to watch out for. Layer 2, orchestration. That's the AI. It reads the instructions, makes the decision, and calls the tools it needs to use. Layer 3 is the tools, execution, deterministic scripts. They do the actual work. Same input, same output. They're reliable. The AI never executes. The scripts never decide. That's the split. This kind of split and dynamic means everything when you're trying to make a consistent workflow. Let me go deeper on each one. Directives are markdown files, usually SOPs, written like you're given a brief to a good employee, let's say. So here's the goal, here's the inputs, here's the outputs. Use this script, do this in these edge cases. But they're not static like prompts are. They're living documents. Every time it breaks, you fix. They're living documents. Every time something breaks, the fix goes back into directives, back into the executions. This API has, so for example, you make an API that turns out there's a limit you didn't know about. Bomb, it breaks. Whatever, you update not a biggie, you just update directives so the AI knows that that's a limit. Or you update the execution scripts to make account for any kind of delays or make reliable backdraw or make backups or anything like that. Then there's the orchestration layer. That's the AI agent. It reads the directive, decides what to do, calls the right execution scripts, and handles errors. So when something breaks, it can be fixed. It updates itself, it updates the directives, and it updates the executions if needed. And if needed, it can also update executions and stuff, so it's reliable. The execution scripts are the boring. And then the execution layer is made, and then the execution layer is just scripts, Python, code, N810 workflows, whatever. It's boring on purpose. Deterministic. No AI is inside of them. They call APIs, they process files, they save data, They work every time because there's nothing probabilistic there. There's nothing there to not work. As an example, I can show you the thing I'm using right now to make this video. There's a content pipeline. There's one workspace, generates everything I need for the week of content. There's a directive that says, hey, generate me a YouTube script. Use 4 shorts embedded inside the script. Each clip must have its own hook, anticipation, and payoff, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a Python script. There's an execution layer where it actually calls the API call. Now to show you this in practice. I have my workflow here. I'm using VS Code, Claude Code. I have a simple 3-layer architecture like I described. I have directives and I have the executions. Executions are just a bunch of Python scripts. Directives are a bunch of .md files, markdown files that are built. So these are all instructions and these are all tools. So yesterday I needed to caption a video. I have a nice little talking head video here. I needed to add captions. It's in Latvian, by the way, which is a really niche language. This is the beauty of the system. I just told the system, hey, I need to add captions to this video. I already have a directives folder right here that allows me to caption videos. The position of the captions, the tempo, the size, the color, the everything, all the works and stuff. Then we also have specific code scripts that each have their own tasks. So in a way, I just created my own little caption bot instead of paying, all those expensive subscriptions for that. I just made it myself. So it's the same Claude you use every day. It's just a different concept of how you use it that enables it to have these kind of superpowers and consistent superpowers. It's the captions are always the same. When I explain this system, a lot of people miss this little tidbit that why this is so elegant, that every time I now post a video, I can see the results and I can have a feedback loop on the task and feed back the information I receive after posting. And so this caption did better, this style did better, this hook did better, this did worse, blah, blah, blah. And it can adjust its directives. And also at the downside, it can adjust any execution scripts that need adjusting to get the job done. It's like a self-evolving, self-annealing system. When something else comes up or a better solution comes up, I can just implement it right away. I don't need to have another subscription or whatever. And the best part, later when I'm doing the same task, I don't have to re-explain every single bit of context I already gave it before. That's probably the biggest downside of just prompting every day, where you have to, as you proceed with the task, as you do more and more, it loses more of that context. This kind of system architecture doesn't lose context because everything is contained in these directives and executions. Everything's contained in its own system and the context is always available right there. So stop trying to write a perfect prompt. Prompts are disposable. They don't learn, they don't improve, they don't compound over time. Write a directive instead, an instruction for the AI to use to complete the task. You write down the steps, write down the edge cases, write down what you learned when it broke, build on top of this document, and then build scripts that actually handle the execution. Deterministic, fixed, testable, same results every time. Let AI do what it is actually good at, reading instructions and figuring out the next best probabilistic move. Prompts are like a conversation, but architecture is a system. One scales and one doesn't. That's the shift from prompting or creating systems. I'm hoping AI gets it right when you write a prompt, or knowing that it works consistently every time. If you're interested, I put together like a starter kit, the folder structure, example directives, some basic execution scripts, plus like the tech stack I use. You can try it out today. If this the way of thinking about AI interests you, subscribe. I'm going to try and post the videos like these once a week or so. See you around.